The Browns QB competition continues as preseason rolls on. After Deshaun Watson got the first crack at first-team play in the preseason last week, Shedeur Sanders gets his chance this week versus the Bills. And our Mina Kimes gave her opinion on the Browns QB situation. Take a listen.
I will say this. These young Browns skill players are fun. They are ahead of schedule in the rebuild of everything around the quarterback. Obviously, Judkins and Fannin were excellent last season. This has the opportunity to be a really talented young core. They really are a quarterback away. I feel that way.
Mina giving us reason to be excited about the Browns. Lewis, do you agree with Mina? Are the Browns just a QB away from contending?
Yeah, in many ways, I do agree with her. I think they have done a nice job. I think Andrew Berry, through all the other stuff that he constantly is having to navigate through with Cleveland, he's done a nice job of compiling a pretty darn good roster. And it's not just the perimeter weaponry. Look, when you talk about KC and Denzel and Harold Fannin and Quinchon, those guys are great. We all know this. We never talk about the offensive lines until they don't have one. We never talk about the trenches on defense until you don't have one. They have invested a lot of resources in the offensive line as well, through free agency, through the draft this year, where it looks like they have some really nice building blocks defensively. With Mason Graham, Jared Verse, you have two really good players right there on the defensive line. Carson Schwarzenegger, you have one of the best young linebackers in the league. Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, you have really good players in the secondary. So you're sitting there going, what the hell is it with Cleveland? Why is it that they're not able to get out of their own way? Well, we know what the dysfunction as far as hiring and firing coaching staffs, and you can debate their competency all you want. We know how the owner can get involved, but it's always come back to the quarterback position. It was the same way when I was there in 93, 94, 95. We didn't have it nailed down then. It was the thing that held us back. We had good running game. We had one of the best defenses in the history of football up until that point, but we couldn't get quarterback right. It's the same thing with Cleveland. If they can get that right, this team is going to be heard from here in the future because they have some nice things as far as the rest of their roster is concerned.
You hear Lewis talking about a systemic problem in Cleveland. They've used at least 3 quarterbacks 4 times in 5 seasons. What do you think about their chances?
I got a great car. It's got a great stereo system. The paint looks great. We're an engine away from it being really nice. It doesn't have an engine, but once we get that engine, we're going to go. Boy, it's going to be the nicest car in the neighborhood, right? That's what this sounds like. The Browns have been a quarterback away for most of the last 20 years in some cases. The Baker Mayfield kind of aberration where he looked like the franchise guy being the lone exception in my opinion. I look at this roster. Yeah, I see nice building blocks. I see the rookies. I see Denzel Boston. I see Casey Concepcion is one of my favorite guys in the draft. Yeah, I see promise, but I don't see anything out of the ordinary we haven't seen in Cleveland for a long time. And so until they get that right, and maybe you do have to go, like we were talking about earlier, maybe you have to get a top 5 pick in order to get the franchise guy. And even that, the way franchise guys work now, it might take 2 years. So all of a sudden it's 2 years from now. You've got a couple of veterans on this team. Are they going to age out? Contract guys, second contract guys. So there are building blocks in Cleveland, but that's going to happen when you have a bunch of high picks, when you have a bunch of trades. You have Jared Verse because you traded Myles Garrett. I'd rather have Myles Garrett. So they've got the pieces. They just need to go do something, which we've been waiting for 2 decades now.
Here's the interesting thing, though. Like, they have draft capital. They have 2 ones this coming year. They need that at the quarterback position. It doesn't necessarily – yeah, they need a good player. But you know what it is? Like, when you're talking about, you have all these nice things, but you don't have the engine. The engine isn't necessarily just, indicative of what the talent level of that player is. It's really what kind of football character and what kind of leadership that player brings. It doesn't have to just be the right player on the field. It has to be the right player off the field who can be, again, that force multiplier, that is a culture changer that says, hey, look, all this crap that has happened in Cleveland since back in the 1990s is over.
Yeah.
I'm bringing a different mentality in here as the most important player on this team, the franchise quarterback. So they don't just have to get the right guy from can he throw the football? Can he roll out? Can he pick up first downs with his legs? He has to be uniquely put together from the neck up to really kind of help change what has been years of futility at that position. That guy has to be special, man. And I think they need to sell out in order to get it. If they don't have it on their roster right now with Deshaun, and with Shedeur, they need to sell out to get it. Whatever it takes, Andrew Berry, he has to get it because he's done everything else.
Well, with Andrew Berry, when they have draft picks, Andrew Berry has knocked it out the park. The problem is There was a long stretch of years where they didn't have any first-round draft picks because of that. I'm curious what you think about the Browns. Do you agree that, like Kevin's example, are they like this amazing, I don't know?
Well, they're going to have to get lucky. I mean, the quarterback spot, you get a pick, you're going to have to get lucky.
Some of it does come down to that.
I love the Myles Garrett trade because they weren't going to win with Myles Garrett anyway. I know he's the best defensive lineman in football. Would they get a #1 pick and they got cursed for that? That's a good trade.
Yeah.
For a franchise that is not ready to win right now, Garrett's 30-something years of age. Trade him on a high run. I understand why the Rams did it, but I love that trade. I mean, I love the Hunter trade, which they made a couple years ago with Jacksonville. It was a good trade. So I'm with you guys. I think Barry's done a good job. There'll be a lot of quarterbacks coming out in the draft. You got Arizona's going to need a quarterback. They're going to be bad. The Browns are going to need a quarterback. They're in a tough division. They'll be competitive, but they probably won't win more than 6-7 games, so they have a chance. And then the Jets. They need a quarterback badly, too, and they're going to be bad. So they should be in a situation with 2 #1s to get somebody who they can put their – they also need a big-time wide receiver who's going to be able to break open these games.
Yeah. So it could be one of the 2 rookies, by the way.
Maybe.
So I want to ask Lewis this because you just heard Doggy say the Browns will need a quarterback. I'm curious what you think about the Browns' current quarterback situation. Do you like the way Cleveland has gone about its quarterback competition?
Look,
is the quarterback on the roster?
I really did feel as though that this truly needed to be a quarterback competition as opposed to maybe what took place in Minnesota, depending upon how you feel about that. I thought that was Kyler Murray's job to lose. I thought Kevin had already kind of made up his mind. He just needed validation of it. He just needed Kyler to come in and show what he thought he would show, and he did. That's why they made the move in the declaration immediately. In Cleveland, this needs to – I heard some people talking about the fact that, you know what? They need to go ahead and make a decision now because that starting quarterback needs reps. He needs time with the first-team offense. You know what? In a normal situation, yeah, he does. But in this situation, they need to let this play out. They need to go ahead and give Shedeur now his time with the first team and really make a true encompassing determination of whether or not does this guy have the ability to start football games and have us throw all of our resources behind him. So we need to give him the same opportunity they gave Deshaun. And if you, in your objective and subjective judgment, feel as though he is not the guy, sell out and get your guy in the next draft. Because I'm telling you, this team is set up. It's set up, man. But you got to get the right player from a physical skills perspective and makeup.
Kevin making a lot of faces. What do you think about the Browns quarterback competition?
This quarterback competition is just a quarterback away from being a great competition.
Wow.
All it needs is just one quarterback, and all of a sudden it's off to the races. No, I think that the way it's being handled, which is what people are discussing this week, I think it's fine. I'm actually a pretty big Todd Monken supporter. I've sat down with him twice this offseason. I think he's great. I think he's great for the quarterback position. I think he's great as far as the honesty and the transparency, which is probably what this requires as far as this competition and people wanting answers and why are we doing this, why are we doing that. I think he's been great. He's handling the media well, which is a big part of this. I liked the vibes in Cleveland a couple of weeks ago when I was there. I just don't think I don't think Deshaun Watson is very good at this point, and I don't think in the last year of his deal, capping off the worst trade and contract in NFL history, that it serves anybody to have him start 17 games.
Sure.
Right? If you need him to start a few games, whatever, I would rather start. I would go Shedeur. I'd rather start Shedeur than Deshaun Watson. I would rather, just for the future of the team, start Dylan Gabriel than Deshaun Watson. So I just don't see much of a use in the Deshaun Watson experiment this year, unless it's a blowout, which I have not yet seen on the field or in practice, of which I went to one a couple weeks ago.
No, I agree. Lewis was 100% right 2 weeks ago, and I was sitting here, and he said Murray's going to start at Minnesota. I thought he was crazy, so I owe Lewis one. You got that right. Makes up for the Kansas City thing with the
Good job by you.
Good job by you, Lewis.
Oh,
Good job by you.
Well, that KC was a bad one. I was a bad one here, so we're 1-1 now.
You killed it.
I would be this is me. And he had a good first game. I'd be shocked if Watson doesn't start the first game of the year. I'd be shocked. They are not. Watson has won playoff games. Shedeur was not very good last year. They're going to start the year. They're not going to start the year thinking we're in a rebuild mode. Sanders might play, and it might take 5, 6 games or 8 games for the season to play out. They're going to start the year with a guy who's got some experience, who had a very good first exhibition game. There's only one more to go, because obviously you're going to play Shedeur here this next one. I think Watson will start. I think the Browns will be a competitive team.
Dog, I don't think it was that good of a first exhibition.
Well, everybody said it was. I didn't see the game.
It didn't look that way to me. I watched it. And look, and Shedeur, and you know what? This is the thing, though, right? You're going to have varying opinions here. Shedeur had a nasty interception. He also had some couple nice throws. He needs his time with the first team. And if you don't think either,